Okay. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Welcome. This is the first of its kind IBM MobileFirst Bootcamp from Proficient. On the line, we've got people from all over the place. We've got some people from Detroit. We've got some people from the IBM practice, and we also have some people from the China GDC. So we're really excited about that. Looking forward to working with everyone. You'll get to know me through this boot camp, and I want this to be conversational and synergistic, and I want a lot of feedback. So I can definitely lecture, so that's no problem, but what I prefer is a two-way conversation. And that's why when you look at the people that are on the call right now, instead of the whole of Proficient, we have a select group here. So it's just the right size, which means I want to hear from you. One way that you can talk to me is just open your mic and start talking. And the other way is from time to time I'll try to check my the chat here to see if there's any questions in the chat. Okay. And I tell you what, I'm going to assign a couple of TAs. One of my TAs is going to be Charles Mahoney. So Charles, you probably didn't expect to have a role in this, but that's okay. And if you can, keep an eye on the chat, and if I'm ignoring it, say, hey, Sean, there's some stuff in the chat, okay?
Sure thing.
And then also, my other TA is going to be Sanjay, just to keep me straight and to add any commentary as needed. But certainly, if you want to chime in, don't feel bad about it. Just go ahead and jump in and say, hey, Sean, I got a question, okay?
Sure, Sean.
The first thing I'm going to paste into the chat is a website that I put together for you all. So go ahead and click that link and see if you can bring up this IBM MobileFirst website that I put together for you. While you're doing that, I want to thank Sanjay and welcome him. Sanjay is new to Proficient, but certainly not new to mobile. And he put together the PowerPoint that was sent out before the meeting for everyone to install MobileFirst. Now, if you haven't installed MobileFirst yet, don't despair. I'll go over that. But thank you, Sanjay, for doing that.
You're welcome, Sean.
Okay. So everybody start loading that site. It's got a bunch of images on it, so it may take just a second to load. But once it loads, you should be good to go. And for my second TA, I'm going to pick Deval. So Deval, did you get that bootcamp to load in your browser?
Yes, it's loaded.
Okay, cool. And Deval, you see a screen similar to mine, right?
Yeah, it's same screen. Yep.
All right, so I'm going to give everyone just a second to get that loaded, but do me a favor, if you don't have it loaded, go ahead and just ping me in the chat session, okay? All right, so put together this site. If you scroll down just a bit, you'll see some training modules. And these training modules are to get you familiar with the MobileFirst platform. And I've got three different ones that we're going to go through. We're going to go through setup, and hopefully a lot of you have already done that, but like I said, we'll go over it anyway. And also, since it's being recorded for future training, that's going to be out there. The second category is development. we're going to create a MobileFirst project. Now, one thing you might note is this boot camp is specifically geared towards adapter development. In blocks 3 and 4, we're going to get into a little bit of the client-side development, but again, the focus is not client-side. The focus of this boot camp is on server-side adapter development. Okay. And then the final thing is testing. So those are the first 3 things that we'll go over in this training module A. Once we complete training module A, then we'll move on to training module B. Okay. If you find typos or errors, please put it in the chat, and maybe Deval, you can capture some of those. Okay. All right. So I'm going to assume that everyone has this loaded. Does anybody not have it loaded? Okay. So for now, I'm going to take the silence as golden, and we'll go ahead and enter our first module here, which is environment setup. Now, MobileFirst platform has 2 versions. It has Studio, and it has a command line interface. We're going to be working with Studio, which is, at the end of the day, is a plugin for Eclipse. To be honest with you, I don't use this very much, only because I'm a command line guy, but it's really nice to have because it fits well within the Eclipse IDE. But I gave you another option here, which is the command line interface. So you can peruse that at your leisure. But for this training, we're going to focus on the Studio. So here I explain that, what I just said about it being an Eclipse plugin. And then we jump right into it. Now, if you go to that site, I'll click it here. The first thing they say is to make sure you have Eclipse IDE. Now, if you go out to the Eclipse website, you'll notice that the latest is actually, let's see here. There's a newer version out here. Oh, it's Mars. Eclipse Mars 4.5. What they're showing is the highest version that's currently supported by MobileFirst platform is Luna 4.4.2. So don't get confused by that. Don't brush over this and say, oh, I need Eclipse IDE, and then you go over here to the latest Eclipse and you download Mars 4.5. It may or may not work. Okay, so make sure that you get the latest that they support, which is Luna 4.4.2, and I have a link to that on the environment setup page right here. So that link will take you to the download page for Eclipse. You can click the download here, or you can click any of these links here. I assume that most of you are probably on Windows 64-bit. I myself, I'm on Mac 64-bit, and there may be a couple of you on Linux 64-bit. Okay? So that's the first part, and I copied this directly from the PowerPoint that Sanjay put together. Okay. And here's an image of that. So the next thing is to start Eclipse. I'll close some of these windows here. Okay, so you go ahead and fire up Eclipse. and that's great. You have Eclipse, but what you really need in addition to Eclipse is the MobileFirst Studio. So I'll go back to the page, and the instructions show select Help, Eclipse Marketplace, and I got a typo here. So Deval, could you capture that? So you type, or you select Help, Eclipse Marketplace, and then you type MobileFirst Platform. Okay. And here it is here. And you can see I've already got it installed, but if I had not had that installed, you would click Install there. Okay. So I'll cancel this because I've already installed it. I think I provided a few notes here. You click the Install button. The features that you need are pre-selected. You click Next, and I just clicked everything. We probably won't be using much of Dojo or even, well, if we do any client development, we probably will use jQuery, but I just selected everything. And then you accept, finish, and then the screen that you'll see at the end is this overview page with MobileFirst. Okay? So that is essentially everything to install the MobileFirst Platform Studio. Any questions? Does everyone have that installed? Okay. So Deval, you have that installed? Yes.
No, actually. I will probably do it later, Sean. I'm just right now recording. I have something else connected on my end.
Okay. That's fine. Okay. So that's it. And then just quickly, we'll go to the command line just real quick. What you do is you download the command line package, and then from the command line you launch the appropriate executable. That brings up a dialog. Maybe I can show it to you real quick. So I've got it installed here, and actually, well, anyway, and you launch that, and then it installs the command line. Okay, but once you get that installed, you need to put this wherever it installs into your path. So for me, on Mac, it installs it in Applications, IBM MobileFirst CLI, and the command, the shortcut is MFP, which stands for MobileFirst Platform. And once you have that successfully installed in your path, you can type that in, and it'll give you the list of its capabilities. So they're equivalent. MobileFirst Studio in Eclipse is equivalent to the MobileFirst commands on the command line. I'm a bigger fan of these just because I'm faster, but when it comes to coding, you're probably going to be real happy you have that Studio. Okay? And I'll try to cover some of these commands as a bonus. You know, our focus is on Studio, but I'll try to cover some of these commands. Okay? So going back to our environment setup, I think that's all I have for that. And mostly that was the benefit of either those who haven't had it installed yet or people who would watch this training at a later date. Okay? All right, so next, let's go. We did setup. Now let's go to development. We are going to be developing what's called adapters. Now, I know many of you have come from the Java world where you developed server-side Java, including, servlets and JSP pages. Well, the closest thing that I can say adapters are is it's very, very much like writing in a servlet. And in fact, the MobileFirst platform runs on the WebSphere Liberty profile. So if you're familiar with writing Java J2EE applications on Tomcat or on WebSphere Application Server, this is very similar. Writing adapters is similar. Okay. And I've got a little description here. Adapters are server-side code, very much like servlets used to transfer and retrieve information from backend systems. I have a diagram here that shows how it works. So the MobileFirst server has one or many adapters, and that provides services to some client, in this case a mobile device, although technically it doesn't have to be a mobile device, but that's its primary purpose. And then what it does in return is it provides either business logic or aggregation and orchestration to the enterprise backend, like another web service or a SQL database. Okay. The MobileFirst server also has a lot more going for it, things like security, testing, device management. We're not going to get into a whole lot of that aspect of it during this boot camp, but our focus is mostly on developing adapters. But I wanted to point out that there's a lot more there in the MobileFirst server. Now you'll recognize these benefits of using adapters. Some are ones that we're used to, maybe others are new, but the hope is that it allows us to do fast development, but take advantage of the security that comes with the platform. Hopefully it speeds our development, but also keeps us good and secure. Okay, so as I said, our focus is Java adapters. I wrote up some benefits here. One thing we're going to find out later is that we can test our adapter with or without the MobileFirst Studio or the command line. In fact, I'm going to show you how to test it without using MobileFirst Studio. Okay. But it's really easy to develop, and even the deployment is straightforward, so I think you're going to like that. One of the things that the adapters do is they expose a full REST API, which I really like. And they're written in Java. So again, if you have good Java experience, this should be a piece of cake. Okay, so we're going to keep going here. There's a couple of elements that are required to configure an adapter. One is an XML file, and then there's a lib folder which contains any third-party libraries, and then a folder that has your Java adapter implementation. Okay. So I'm going to do something crazy. I'm just going to delete my project. So I'm going to start where you are. And I'm going to go ahead and stop my server because your server is not started yet. So pretty much if you have Eclipse open and you've installed the MobileFirst Studio, you're going to see exactly what I see, which is I've got one folder over here for my MobileFirst development server. If I click the servers tab down here in Eclipse, I see that the server is stopped. And so we have a fresh, clean workspace here. Okay. Now, the next step in the tutorial is to create a new MobileFirst project. So they make it easy. It's just going to be File New MobileFirst Project. Okay. And there's several templates here, and one of the things that you may be scratching your head is, why am I creating a hybrid application or a native API if all I'm going to do is create an adapter? The answer is I don't know, but that's what I had to do. I'm actually curious to maybe some of the people in China. I know that you guys went ahead and did some of these same things. Was that your experience, that you had to create a hybrid application first?
Yes.
Okay. So, probably something they can work on in the future, but that's okay, because we're going to actually create some code that'll test, some mobile code that'll test our adapters in the later blocks. So this actually works out for us just fine. So go ahead and let's create a hybrid application. And just to explain that just a bit, with MobileFirst, you can create mobile applications that are either native or hybrid. Right now, I prefer hybrid, but certainly we've got a ton of experience with native as well. The things I like about hybrid is that you can write a single set of HTML, which will work equally as well on multiple devices, including iOS and Android. Okay, so in your name, just put MFP Bootcamp and select hybrid application. Now, the next screen is to give it an application name. And one of the things you may be asking is, didn't I just do that? And that's because a single MobileFirst project can have more than one application inside of it. So you also have to give it an application name. I just give it the same one. Okay. And then I believe here we click Finish. So project name, MFP Bootcamp, select hybrid application. And then when you get to the second screen, same name, MFP Bootcamp. And then click Finish. Okay, so I'll go back over here, and I'll click Finish. And what this does is it creates all the scaffolding that's required. I didn't switch to this design perspective because we're not really developing UI. We're going to be developing backend. So I just said no to this. And I don't really care about this HTML file in a second, so I'm going to close that. And you should see the same folder structure that I'm showing here on my screen. And just to go through the folder structure real quick, the ones I want to draw your attention to is adapters and apps. The apps is where your client app goes, and the adapter is where your server-side code goes. Now, as a bonus, let's do the same thing in, I'll do the exact same thing here on the command line. So I'm going to do MFP create, and same idea. What do you want to name your MobileFirst project. And then it goes ahead and creates the project for you. And you'll notice that it has the same scaffolding, the same folder structure that we saw in MobileFirst Studio, we now see here in the command line. Okay? So let's come back to our tutorial. The next thing we want to do is we want to create our first adapter. So for that, we're going to right-click on the project, new, and then there's a shortcut here for MobileFirst adapter. Okay, so we have our project name pre-selected, our adapter type. Now, you can see that there are several different types of adapters. I think we're interested in several of these, especially since we have some upcoming clients that want to use some of these capabilities, for instance, the SQL adapter. But for us, what we're interested in right now is a Java adapter. We want to write some Java code that handles a request and does something useful. Okay, and the adapter name, let's just call it API adapter. And the package name, com.proficient.mfp bootcamp. Sorry for the long name. Okay. And let me check that with the tutorial. Java adapter, API adapter, com.proficient.mfp bootcamp. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and click finish. Now, what that did is it created our XML file for the configuration, and it also went ahead and created our folder structure, and it created two files, API adapter application and API resource.java. You got somebody with a hot mic, which is cool because it means I'm not talking to myself, but somebody was like getting me a drink or something. Okay. So that's what it does. If we look at these files, the adapter application is just a wrapper for the adapter. It has a life cycle: init, destroy, get, package, to scan. Okay. And then secondly, there's a Java file here, which is the actual coding of the adapter. And they go ahead and give you a template that uses JAX-RS to author some RESTful web services. So one thing Sanjay asked me is like, hey, are you going to provide the code? Because he previewed my tutorial, and I said yes, but what I wanted to say to Sanjay is that at least for the code that we're going to be dealing with right now, they inject some code that you can test right away. We'll be modifying this code, but at least we have something that we can test. Let me see if I can make this bigger. Okay. Now this class is just a POJO. Doesn't extend or implement anything except for JAX-RS. And you see we've got our imports here. We've got some Java here. We've got some JAX-RS stuff here. and we have some work light things here. Okay. And the model that they show you is a user's model. And they provide some REST paths. There's a get here, just to say hello. And they do show you what the path is. So the path for this method is server address, MFP Bootcamp, adapters, API adapter users. Okay. And it's just going to return some HTML here. They have some other paths in here that do things a little more useful. For instance, if you use that same path, then you supply a username on the tail end, it will put together a string and respond. Okay. And then finally, when you get down here to the post, now they're accepting more parameters through a post and trying to do something useful with it. So these are some pretty good examples out here. And we'll test some of these. But hopefully this gives you a flavor for how to author REST services using JAX-RS through a MobileFirst adapter. Okay. Now, as promised, let me show you the same thing here on the command line. I think it's help adapter. MF. Okay, well, anyway, it's this here. It's adapter add. So on the command line, we'll call MFP adapter add. What do you want to name your MobileFirst adapter? Well, and then you select the type. So we decided that we'd use Java, and the package name, com.efficient.mfp bootcamp. And then you can see that it added the same code that we saw in Studio. Okay. Okay, the next thing we want to do is we want to run our solution. So let's go ahead and do that. And actually, what I want to do is I just want to start the server and open the MobileFirst console. So we'll come back to our solution here. I'm going to right-click on the project, open MobileFirst console. What this does is it starts WebSphere Liberty profile. Charles probably knows more about this, but this is WebSphere application server. It's kind of stripped down. It's a stripped down version, but it's very effective. And then the MobileFirst application is running within that WebSphere Liberty profile. And it goes. The Eclipse goes ahead and sends a message to the browser to open up console. So this is our landing page for our solution in MFP Bootcamp. There's a couple ways that we can deploy adapters. One is you can just do it from here. We're actually going to do it from MobileFirst Studio, but you can see that you can get to the different aspects of MobileFirst here. One thing you'll see if you click on application is you'll see your Bootcamp application. There's nothing in it right now, but it's there. And then currently I do have one adapter. It's only because I've deployed this already. I'm going to go ahead and delete it. So now you and I are the same. We have one application, 0 adapters, and I think the tutorial shows the same screen. Okay. But this shows us, this confirms that our server is running and it's ready to receive additional updates. Okay. So going back to the tutorial.
Hey Sean, this is Charles. I don't know if anybody else gets, when they open up the MobileFirst console, if you are presented with a user ID and password screen. If so, it's admin, or the ID and password.
Interesting. So you're saying that when you open the console, this one right here, it actually presented you with a login challenge?
Correct.
Okay. And but you got past that by
user ID admin, password admin.
Okay. So Deval, can you capture that in the notes, please?
Yeah, sure. Yep.
Okay. Thanks, Deval. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Charles. I did not know that. And what's interesting is up here, it does show that I'm logged in as admin. So.
Yeah, Charles, so are you admin on your laptop or machine?
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, I'm curious to find out why. You know what? I could have done it and forgot about it. So maybe at one time it challenged me too, and it's been a while. Okay. So yeah, if you have trouble with that, definitely just do the login. Okay. So back to our. So now that our server is running, we're going to deploy the adapter. And you do that, and this took me a while because I was like, because I know how to do it on command line, but it kept going here, and it didn't give it to me as an option when I right-clicked on the project. So the point is, don't do that. Don't right-click on the project, right-click on the adapter itself. And let me make sure that's right. Yeah, you click on the adapter you want to deploy, run as, and deploy MobileFirst adapter. And it's pretty speedy. It's out there, and so now if I go back to my console, now I do have one adapter. If I click that, it shows me the adapter, and it shows me just a real quick, listing of the services that it provides. Okay, so we should be good to go. This thing, we built it, we started the server, and we deployed it. And should be able to verify it. Okay? Now, that concludes the developing adapters section. Next, we're going to actually test it. But before I go on, is there any questions on this section? Okay, silence is golden. All right, so now we'll move on to testing. Now, I'm biased on how I test. There's a couple of different ways to test adapters. One of the things that you might have seen is that you can test it straight from here. There was a run as and there was a call MobileFirst adapter. We'll cover that in a minute, but I actually don't want to focus on that right in a second. The reason why is because, well, I'll show you why. So if you go back to the tutorial, one thing that's cool about MobileFirst Java adapters is they are available via the REST interface. And if we know the URL, we can test it through HTTP tools such as Postman. Now, I've used a bunch of different REST clients on different projects, including there's a REST client for Firefox that I use quite a bit. I think it's just called REST client, and there's also one for Chrome called Advanced REST client. But I'd heard of Postman, but until I was putting together this tutorial, I wasn't familiar with it. So I saw that in the MobileFirst tutorials they were talking about it. So I thought I would check it out, and I love it. Absolutely love it. It's becoming a favorite now. So we're going to go ahead and use Postman, but you don't have to. You can use any REST client, but I prefer you try to use Postman. Okay. So because of that, we're going to go ahead and install Postman. So hopefully you have Google Chrome installed on your system, and if you go to your extensions and you search for Postman REST client, it'll come up here, and you can go ahead and add that to Chrome. So let's all go ahead and do that right now. And I think if I go to my extensions, you'll see that I already have it installed somewhere. Here it is here. I already have Postman installed. I also have Advanced REST client. But the one I want you to install is Postman. So you go to your extensions in Chrome, search for Postman REST client. It's actually an app. Maybe that's different than a extension. Because I see over here on the left it has apps, extensions, themes. It looks like Postman is an app. But you just click this blue button right here, add to Chrome. Okay. Once it launches, you'll get this screen here. There's some other features here that I haven't pursued yet. Like, I guess this thing's got all the bells and whistles. Here it says a great new experience jam-packed with features. But I just click go to app. So you don't have to sign up or anything. You just go to the app. But I'm interested in some of these other features. Maybe we can pursue those later.
Yeah.
So
Sean,
next we're going to test the adapter. Yeah, go ahead.
Quick question, statement, a quick question. If you want to touch base, this is Charles. If you want to touch base sometime a little later, the project I'm working on right now, we're using Postman. We're not paying for it, but some of the free features I can give some light on. And then does the current what we've deployed to MobileFirst, does it create a waddle of the actual REST endpoints?
Like a model for the users?
Yeah, so instead of a waddle, so instead of a WSDL for your SOAP services, a XML-based waddle that defines the endpoints.
Waddle. Got it. I don't know. I'm not using it. If it does, I'm not using it.
Okay.
It's just simple, REST over HTTP. So I'm not aware of any, schema or specification for that. But that's definitely something that I appreciate the question, and kind of go back and forth on it. One of the beauties of RESTful services that speak in JSON is that they are fluid. So it's great, but to your point, it's also challenging when you have current applications or you're developing an application and the specification is changing. So I hear you, Lima Charlie, that we're interested in, should we use a specification? So Deval, let's write that down and we'll get that question answered, and then maybe tomorrow we'll cover that, okay? Okay, so hopefully everybody has installed Postman. Can you give me just a quick ping? Is that working okay for you guys so far?
Yeah, I guess for me.
Okay. Sorry, I missed that last. What did you say, Deval?
No, I thought you asked something.
Oh, yeah. Just a minute ago, I was talking about write down. Does MobileFirst support WADL, WADL, for specifying a schema for the REST services payload?
Okay.
Did you get that before?
Yeah, I did write it down, but I didn't know the exact detail. Now I know.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks. All right. So does everybody have? Oh, cool. Right there with you. Okay. Thank you, Krishna. Hey, this is cool because I can actually see you guys respond and link. I get a red thing, so that's actually a good way of. You guys need to start chatting more. Okay. So once you have Postman installed, you're going to get an interface that looks like this. And of course, I've got a ton of stuff in here, but if you've used REST clients before, it's pretty straightforward. And I think the very first one that that's in the tutorial is this one right here. So this is localhost 10080 MFP Bootcamp adapters, API adapters, users. There's a couple places you can find that. One is in the code itself. And they put a comment here. And the other place is in the Bootcamp. I've got the URL right here. So you go ahead and type that URL in, and you press send, and you get this error message, missing authorization. And I say that right here. Unfortunately, you'll get an error. Why do we get an error? Well, the reason is that the adapter routes are protected by a security scope. It's a simple security scope. It's there by default. So unless you actually disable security, it is protected. So to work around that, we need to get a test token. And that one is not protected. So if you change your method to post and you enter this test token URL, you'll get a test token. So I have that here. And my method I changed from get to post, and I press send. Okay. And you get back some JSON. And the JSON has one key value pair. The key is authorization. The pair is bearer and a bunch of stuff. So what you want to do is you're going to want to copy this right here. Everything in between the quotation marks. Just go ahead and copy that. And then if you go back to your get and you go to headers, we're going to create a new header. And the header is authorization. The value is bearer all the way to the end of that code. Okay. So once you have that header there, go ahead and send this. And now that we're authorized, we get the HTML. You can preview it if you want. So what we've done here is we've installed MobileFirst Studio. We've authored a new project. We've authored a new adapter. We've written some code, and we really didn't write any code, but we used the boilerplate code that came out, and we tested it. So why don't you guys ping me if you're good, if you're to that point. Just go ahead and ping me on link. And if you go to the tutorial, it pretty much goes through what I just went through. And I appreciate any comments or feedback on the tutorial because other people are going to be using this. Okay? So what we've done here is we've gone through training modules part A, which is MobileFirst setup, development, and testing. And even though these are very simple, very pedestrian examples, this is the battle rhythm, right? Make sure your environment's set up, develop your adapters, test them. So we'll be going through this cycle over and over again. So it's important to lay a good foundation. I'd like to do two things. I'd like to take any questions, and then I'm an old Air Force guy, so Air Force military has done a lot of studies on training. If we sit here for 2 hours, I'll probably lose you, so we're going to take a quick break. We'll take a 7-minute break, get some water, get some coffee, whatever you need to do, and Okay, Sean's back. Charles, you back?
Yes, I am.
Okay, cool. Sanjay, you back?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Let's see. Who else we got out there? Anybody from China? You guys there?
Yeah. Yes, we are here.
Okay. Before we do this next block, I'm especially interested in hearing from China because I know you guys did some tutorials beforehand, and you actually got further than we've gotten so far. But does everything make sense so far? You guys there?
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you now. If you were talking, you.
Sorry, would you please repeat? Seems the connection is not very stable.
No, what I was asking was, I know that you guys went ahead and did some tutorials in advance of the boot camp, and what I was asking is everything making sense so far?
Yeah. I think it's helpful. So basically, we have tried to create some JDBC adapter and Java adapter, and also what else? The LDAP adapter and the RESTful service. Yes, and we also try to create a simple app to integrate all those adapters together.
Okay, I'm curious about one thing. So that's really cool, but specifically, you created an adapter that hit a secondary REST API, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
What did you write that? What did you write that in? So you had to author a REST API so that your adapter could hit and simulate kind of an enterprise backend REST API. So what did you write that in?
We first have the login page, and we user go to the page and click the login, and then you will have the login page and pass the user account. This will go to the authentication adapter. It's based on our GDC provisioned LDAP server, so the user we can use our GDC account to log in the page, and then it will get some mock data from our local database. It's invoked the circle adapter, and then it will send it will use the HTTP adapter send a request to a RESTful service on the public internet, and get the mock data back and display the data in a list on the page. So it's the whole.
Okay, that's good. That's awesome. Good job on. You guys are definitely the model student. So I appreciate that, and I would be interested in seeing what you did. But the reason why I asked is a good segue into the second set of modules that I have prepared for tonight.
Sorry, this is proficient, and this is a GDC. Sorry, in our we just found some questions. I just want to confirm with you. It's a quick question. It's based on the DB transaction. We create a circles adapter and query the MySQL DB. It's Node.js based. It's a JavaScript based. So we are considered about our future project. Maybe we should invoke the transaction in our business logic. So we just wanted to confirm with you how to invoke the transaction into our adapter. Should we come back to the Java adapter and evoke something like the Harmonet and the iBetis? I don't think it's a good idea. So we just want to maybe you have some best practice for us for this scenario.
Okay. Well, I think I got most of that, and this is actually a good segue. What I'm talking about is this right here, where we author some adapters, and then those adapters are really an integration layer to some enterprise backend. And this diagram shows the one that you guys did, which is a SQL database. I don't know if you got to this, but this is the one I want to talk about right here, which is the HTTP web service. So to your point, if the enterprise has a HTTP web service that has some business logic in it, and one example would be a company like Volkswagen, who might have an API where you can query vehicles or dealerships. So this block right here would symbolize that Volkswagen or some other enterprise web service, and we would have our adapter be the gateway to the mobile phone to that web service.
Okay.
And the reason why is because maybe we don't want to expose our SQL database and our web service directly to the phone. We could skip this and expose this to the phone, but the MobileFirst gives us a couple things. It gives us a security layer, like you were saying. You can authenticate the user through LDAP, and it gives us some aggregation and orchestration for these back-end services and databases. So I don't know if I probably didn't answer your question, but this is probably a good segue to talk about this web service. Okay.
Okay.
And I did hear you say Node.js, and I'm really glad you said that, because what I want to do next is talk about that very thing.
Okay.
So at the bottom of your page, you'll see Home, Training Modules A, and you'll see Training Module B. If you click Training Module B, that will take you to the Training Modules B page. And what I'd like to do with this is I would like for us to author some REST services that simulate the enterprise backend. And for that, we're going to use a platform called Bluemix. And specifically within the Bluemix platform, we're going to use the Node.js framework. Okay. So that's what Training Module B is about. Training Module C, which will come on Sunday night, is going to cover the integration between MobileFirst and this enterprise backend. And then the last one is going to cover, we might also get to the SQL adapter, so that's good. And then on Monday night, which is our final module, we're going to talk about some testing and client-side integration, okay? So if you scroll down, same format for this. We've got setup, we've got development, and we've got testing. Okay. So first we'll go to setup. And you might be asking, hey Sean, this is a MobileFirst bootcamp. Why are we talking about Bluemix? I'll go ahead and tell you, MobileFirst and Bluemix are rapidly merging and coming together. So this is a name you're going to hear a lot. I'm already deep into both, so I thought this would be a good opportunity to introduce you to Bluemix and also give you it's kind of cool because we're going to offer some REST services in Node.js, and it's a disparate technology from Java, but we'll use REST services to integrate the two. Okay. So let's talk about Bluemix. What is Bluemix? Bluemix is an implementation of the open cloud architecture leveraging Cloud Foundry. And if you're familiar with Cloud Foundry or platforms as a service like Bluemix, there were some earlier ones like Google App Engine and Heroku. So IBM, and Windows has one called Azure, but IBM, their offering is Bluemix. And if you go there, let's see if they list them here. I may actually have to go to my console here. If I click create an app, here are the different SDKs that come with Bluemix. They actually do have Liberty for Java, which is what MobileFirst runs on, and put an asterisk next to that because that's important. Because I think soon you're going to have, if they don't have it already, they're going to have MobileFirst in the cloud. But there's that. There's SDK for Node.js, which is what we're going to use. They have other here like Google Go, PHP, Python, Ruby. They just added ASP.NET 5. So these are all cloud offerings that are out there, okay, on Bluemix.
So, Sean, so this is Sanjay here. How do you get access to this console? I mean, do you have to create an account or for the Bluemix?
You have to create an account. And they have a trial, so the trial is free. I think the trial lasts for 30 days. What I ended up doing was I put my credit card on there eventually because I just use it all the time. And they have a free tier, so even after the trial, if you put your credit card on there, there's a free tier. So I never get charged, but they just want to have it out there for their protection.
Yeah.
But certainly you don't have to do that. If you want to just do the trial, you can sign up for the trial and check it out.
Cool.
But what's cool is you're not going to need an account for this tutorial, and I'm going to go into that in just a second. Okay. So very similar to MobileFirst, Bluemix allows you to reduce the time for development. And then I talked about the different application platforms they have, like Liberty for Java, Node.js, Ruby, etc. For the Bootcamp, we're going to be using Node.js, and we're going to use that to create some REST APIs. Now, if you don't know about Node.js, let me just spend a second on that. Every web developer in the world, I don't care if you're Python, PHP, ASP.NET, JSP, doesn't matter. You already know JavaScript. The web world has been moving closer and closer to that type of development. Even if you're a portal developer, you've developed against JavaScript either with the JSP or now with Script Portlet. So I think it's brilliant that Google and the supporters of Node.js said, hey, let's create a server-side middleware framework based on JavaScript. Now, I'm not sure I would have picked JavaScript as that language, but I think it's brilliant because everybody knows JavaScript. So you're going to get a lot more adoption because it's not some new language like Ruby or something like that. And so I think it was brilliant that they chose Node.js, and they really worked on the scalability and performance of the platform. it's an asynchronous out of the box. It's quite impressive. And then if you scroll down here, I put some notes in here about Node.js. But there's this interesting website called modulecounts.com. And just to get an idea of the popularity of Node.js, this is the past, this is the past year. So there's just like all of these different things like Ruby and Python, there's a very active open source community that is adding these modules. But what this website does is track who's most popular. And you can see that in the past 12 months, or whatever this graph shows, Node.js is, there's a lot more activity for NPM, which is Node's package manager. And then if you look at the all-time, which goes back in time a little bit, you can see the trend here that Node.js is really taking off. So just something to keep in mind. I really like it myself. I've been using it for quite some time. So what we're going to do is we're going to download and install Node.js. So you go ahead and click this link. Same deal as installing Eclipse. You want to go ahead and get your binary and get that installed. The current version is version 0.12.7. Okay, so go ahead and download and install that. Now, one thing that I think I had to do is I had to make sure that that Node was in my path on Mac. So I know a lot of you are probably on Windows. So if there's any special you have to do in Windows to get Node in your path, just go ahead and share that with the group. I'm going to stop sharing for just a second because I have this annoying thing going on. Okay. Okay, I'm back. Make sure you guys can see my screen again. Charles, are you getting that installed, the Node.js?
I already have it installed. I'm good.
Again?
I have it installed.
Oh, you have it installed?
Yes.
Are you on Windows?
No, I'm on Mac.
Oh, you're on Mac. Okay. I think in Mac I had to. Maybe I didn't. Actually, did you have to do anything special?
That's what I'm checking to see. It's been a while since I've had it installed for a little while.
Oh, you've had it installed. Okay.
Yeah.
So don't worry about it.
Yeah. I remember if I did a symbolic link or so just to make sure it was in my path.
That's what I did too. Okay. So if you go to your console, you type node -- version and npm -- version, you should get some good response. I think that's also in the tutorial here. So let me just ping the crowd real quick. You guys are really quiet, by the way. Poor Charles, I just pick on him. But does everybody have this installed? Sanjay, Richard, Krishna.
All right, I'm still doing it.
Oh, you're still doing it? Okay.
咱们比较了。Hi, this is GTC, and we already installed the Node.js and the MCM on the Windows environment.
Okay, great. Oh, I guess I was on mute. Thanks, Sanjay. Hey, Sanjay, where did I leave off? Sorry about that.
You need to start over.
Yeah, just about everything you did since or before going to the JSON placeholder website.
Okay, sorry about that. So did you guys get this right here or no?
Actually, no. So if you can start after the install real quick, it'd be good.
Okay, cool. So let me just go back there. Okay, so everybody got this, I assume.
Correct.
Okay, cool. Sorry about that. Hey, that gave you some extra time for installation, though. So now we'll go to development. So for this boot camp, we're going to be working locally. We're going to create a Node.js application that provides web services. The cool thing, though, is the structure of our application will meet the Bluemix standard. So if we ever did need to install to Bluemix, we could. Okay. So the first thing that you want to do is you're going to want to create your folder. I called mine MFP Bootcamp Bluemix, but you can call it whatever you want. You can either use Windows Explorer, Finder, or for me, I just use command line. But I'm going to go ahead and blow mine away, start from scratch. And then I'm going to create the folder. Okay. So if you navigate into that folder, and that's going to hold our Node.js application. Now, in Node.js, it's comprised of modules. Some modules come with Node.js. Others are maintained by the community. So any modules that are maintained by the community, we have to go get. Now, in Node.js, there's two ways to go get it. One is to install it in your system, and you can do that through the command line by just typing npm install -g as in golf, which stands for global, and then the name of the package. But the other way is, at an application level, you can specify your module dependencies in this file called package.json. And as I said, this Express framework is, Express is to Node.js what, let's say, MVC, Spring MVC is to Java. So it does a lot of the heavy lifting for you and allows you to create web applications and APIs. You can install it command line like this, and it'll install it into your system, but because we're building an application that might go to Bluemix, we want to install it as part of the dependencies for our application. So go ahead and create a package.json in the folder that you just created and paste in the contents of what you see here into that package file. Okay. And just to take you through this file real quick, I did this on mute one time, so I'll do it again now. Name and description. So these are just descriptive of our application. Version, we control this. The default is, something simple. This is really important here, dependencies. So you can see right now I only have one dependency, which is Express. And the second parameter here, this value, if you wanted to control the version or have like a minimum version, you could put that here. By putting an asterisk, it just gives you the latest version of that module. The script section really is only used by Bluemix, but we'll go ahead and put it in there. It tells Bluemix how, or any Cloud Foundry container, how to start your app. And then you can also specify what version of Node, like a minimum version, which is this one requires 12. Okay? So go ahead and paste that into your package.json, save it, and then what we're going to do is we're going to say npm install. And what that'll do is it'll look inside of our package.json and install all of the dependencies for Express. And what that does is it creates a folder folder called Node Modules, and you can see it has our module that we specify, which is Express. So it copied all the libraries for Express, and now we can use that library. Make sense? Okay. So we did the npm install. This creates a folder called Node Modules that contains the specified package. Okay. Next part is to create the application. So go ahead and grab this code and paste it into a file called app.js. And I'll go through the code with you. Okay, so up here at the top, this is very similar to an import in Java, with one difference. You actually create an instance of the package. So you create an instance of Express, an instance of, actually I don't think I'm using these two, but anyway, they're unused. But you can see here that this is JavaScript syntax. Once you have Express, then you also need to instantiate an app based on Express. And then if you have static resources like, like an HTML file or CSS, you can tell the application where to find that. So that might go in a folder called public. Now, if you want to put your actual code, like we're going to author some REST APIs, if you want to put those into a different file, this is how you do it. You say require the file name, and then you pass it the app context. These lines can be used by Bluemix. We're not going to use those right now, but they're there for Bluemix. Because locally, we're going to run it as localhost 3000, port 3000. But on Bluemix, it'll come up with its own hostname and port. Okay. And then finally, we're going to start the server. So that is app.js. So as you can see, it's pretty simple to stand up a web application in Node.js. The final piece is going to be our routes. And this is where we're going to author our web services. So create a file called restroutes.js and insert the following code. And you can use your favorite editor. I like VI, but I also use brackets. That might be, and I think brackets has the syntax highlighting. Okay. So when you author a Node.js module, you actually use this internal module object, and this is what exports functions to the outside. So you can see we accepted our Express app as a parameter, and now we can modify the app. One of the things that you can do in Express is you can author route through app dot and then the type. So this is a get, but we could also do post, put, delete. All of the HTTP methods would be are modeled as a method to the Express application. The first parameter here is the route that we're going to listen to. And then the second parameter is a function that takes the web request and response objects. Now, this is a simple route in that what we're going to do is we're going to create a return object by calling this method. This is the get vehicles method. Now, I have an implementation of the get vehicles method down here. We've hard-coded some vehicles here, make, model, body, color, VIN. So I've got a dozen or so vehicles in here, and then we're going to return those to the calling function. So we're going to put that into an object, and then using the response, we're going to do a couple things. One is to set the header to allow cross-domain requests in case we need that. And then we're going to send this back, but right now it's a JavaScript object, but there's a convenience method called .json that will JSONify the object for the client. Okay? So we've authored our vehicle list service. So going back to the tutorial, that's pretty much it. And now we can run our application. So the way you run the application is you type node and then the name of our main file, which is app.js. And you get an error. Oh, actually, you don't get an error. My bad. I'm already running this somewhere else. There we go. So it was fine. Never mind. Maybe not. Maybe I need to be explicit about the path of where that is. Okay. So there's a slight typo in the tutorial. In app.js, we need to be more explicit about specifying where to find this file. Funny thing is, it doesn't require the .js extension, but it does require a /, meaning the current directory, and then slash, and then rest route. So we have to make that one minor edit there. Does that make sense? Sanjay, you with me?
Yes, it does make sense.
Okay. So if you make that one edit, putting the / in front of the rest route here, and then you just say node app.js, it doesn't give you an error, and it says Express is running on port 3000. Okay, you should see this. Does everybody have that?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. So now we've authored our mock web service that simulates vehicles. So I'll close that, and now we go to test. So this is I put this in here again just in case somebody came to this one first. But you guys have already installed Postman, so we're good there. So now we can just test the adapter. So in Postman, we can use this URL, localhost 3000 rest vehicle list, and we can put that into our URL here. and we don't need this header anymore. We don't need the authorization header for this. And it's a get, and press send, and voila, we get a very nice looking JSON payload with our vehicles in it. And our MobileFirst app is still running too. I tested that as well. But if we go back to vehicle list, our Node application, we have that as well. But in the coming blocks, this would pose a problem because this API is behind the firewall and it's not available to the mobile app. So we're going to use the adapters to be the interface to this API. But I specifically wanted to write this API in Node.js for two reasons. One, I love Node.js. I'm a big fan, and so any chance I get to talk about it, I do. Secondly, I wanted to give you some experience with a couple different types of platforms. Third reason is that I wanted this to be written in a different framework so that we can simulate some reality. But we'll get off of this quickly and back into MobileFirst. But I wanted to have this up and running so that we'd be ready for our next module. It is 8:54 Central Time, so we're going to wind it down here. But let's just take the remaining few minutes. Any comments, questions before we break for this part of the boot camp?
I think it was very helpful, Sean, and especially the Node.js part of it, mocking the web service JSON payload here. So from a testing standpoint for Volkswagen, we'll just have to figure out how that's going to happen, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I had to come up with the Node.js because the GDC, they were already ahead of us on the boot camp, so I had to come up with something special for them to make sure
Yeah,
we kept their toes.
He did put in a JSON placeholder they used. Did you see his chat?
Oh, let me see. Oh, you talking about the? Yeah, I did see it. This one here.
Yeah.
But this is like a public. I don't know who this is. But,
yeah. Risky. Yeah.
But no, it's good to know. I didn't know about this, so I appreciate. I must have been on mute when was I on mute when I was talking about this?
Yes, you were.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that. You guys got to tell me next time. But anyway, yeah, this is cool. But I'm glad we got a chance to dive into just a little bit of Node.js. So now I think we have an environment that would simulate a client, possibly a client like Volkswagen. That's why I actually put vehicles in there, is because that's one of the things that they deal with. So I think we're ready for the next step, which is to start integrating our adapters with our enterprise backend web APIs. Any other comments or questions?
If you would like, I'm going to post this in the chat also, but if you would like to import the Postman endpoints, basically a Postman collection of tonight's endpoints that you created, I'm going to post it in the chat of a URL you can actually import into your Postman to get these MobileFirst Bootcamp endpoints in there.
Okay. Is that something that, oh, you created the collection out there. Okay, cool. And so, Charles, how would we,
so
how does that work?
If you go ahead and pull up your Postman,
Mm-hmm.
up at the top you have import. The third tab is download from link. Go ahead and post that URL in there. Didn't come.
Yeah, I got the wrong link.
Yep.
It worked. The collection MobileFirst Bootcamp.
So now if you go back to your post, go ahead and close that pop-up. And on the left-hand side, if you click collections, you'll have that collection. Now I've got it split into two different folders, one for your MobileFirst adapters, and then your Node.js one. So we created tonight.
Okay. Now, I got a question about this one. This one is the API adapters. Yeah. This is great, Charles. The only thing is they're going to have to paste their own.
Yep. So yeah, you have to go to the post. Yeah, you have to go to the post and create your own on that your authorization.
Yeah, which you have right here. So that's awesome. This is really cool. So Charles, was that you talking earlier when you said you guys use Postman right now?
Yes.
Cool. This is great.
And I can get into some other details with you as there's environment setups and stuff, like some of those items that you can actually somewhat prioritize some items of these if you really have multiple environments.
That is really nice. Good job, Charles. I think the GDC got like model students the first hour, and you got model students the second one. Although I don't know if it counts for you because you're a TA. But I'm not sure if you qualify for model student if you're a TA.
Yeah.
All right, so we're about to wrap up here, guys. We're 20 seconds out. Any other questions or comments?
Sean, I just want to thank you for putting this together. It's really good stuff.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. Thank you very much. Well, listen, you guys have my email, so if there's anything you can think of that you either want to see or any comments, just email me. And especially the GDC, if you have some of your code that you want to share, that you want to see put into this, by all means, forward that to me.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, well, this concludes our first night. Appreciate everybody spending the extra time, especially those in the U.S. because it's nighttime here. But I will see you guys tomorrow night.